نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We say we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we do not love the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say we love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the reality is we do not love the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The truth is it is all on the tongue and not in the heart. Even a non-living thing like the date palm tree, which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to lean against when giving sermons, had more love than us. It is said when a pulpit was made, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam left it. فَصَاحَتِ النَّخْلَةِ It cried so much that it was about to burst. We do not realize the status of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is described as mubashiran wa nadhira, who invited towards paradise and whose mission was to save us from hell. If we practice on the ways of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it will help even in this world. Like the three people who were trapped in a cave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made means for their freedom because one of them used to feed his parents first and then his wife and children. The other one saved himself from adultery due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's fear. And the third one gave all his profit to his employee. From this we learn three things. The status of parents. We should look after them. We should serve them. It's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before we will only realize the greatness and the blessing after it is taken away from us. My dear listeners, it is said that one look at your mother is equal to one Hajj. And paradise lies under the feet of the mother. If the father is happy, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy. But nowadays, we listen and respect and we obey our friends more than our parents. We don't realize what parents are. We don't realize how much pain they feel when we disobey them. My dear brothers, make the most of your parents before you lose them. Secondly, pious women can change the environment. The person who moved away from adultery was because the woman said, Ittaqillah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can see from the story of Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who changed him, his own sister, when he started punishing his sister. The sister said, "Oh Umar, do whatever you want to do, but we will not leave Islam." Proves that if a woman is steadfast, she can change the whole environment. And number three, not to take others' wealth unlawfully. My dear listeners, from all the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most important one is salah. Men are required to read with jama'ah. It is mentioned, those who read with jama'ah receive 27 times more reward. Unfortunately, we don't seem to understand when we hear the word reward. But when we hear the word pound, then straight away we realize the value of pound. We don't seem to realize what reward is. The only time we will realize is when our eyes shut and we end up in the grave. At that time we will realize what sunnah is, what faraz is, what reward is. But it will be too late. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the time, the opportunity. We should make the most of it before we lose it. It is mentioned for every step a person takes towards the masjid, رُفِعَ بِهَا دَرَجَةً حُطَّتْ عَنْهُ بِهَا خَطِيئَةً. His status is elevated and a sin is forgiven. When he waits for salah, the angels make dua for him. Allahumma salli alayhi, Allahumma arhamhu. O Allah, bless him. O Allah, forgive him. O Allah, be merciful on him. We are deprived of this dua because we spend our time in gossip. Even in the masjid, we cannot connect ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is described as لا يدفع بالسيئة السيئة ولكن يعفو ويغفر, did not retaliate evil with evil, but dealt with them with forgiveness and kindness. لا سخاب في الأسواق, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not shout even in the market. And here we are raising our voices in the masjid. We don't even realize that we are sitting in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we enter the masjid, it feels as if we have entered the market. Gossip, backbiting, lying, raising our voice, everything is taking place in our masjids. Although the masjid is described as one of the best places, and the market is described as one of the worst places, but unfortunately today we cannot differentiate the masjid from the market, because when we enter the masjid, it is the same as the market. Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wanted to punish the one who preached deen in the masjid in a loud voice. Imagine what he would do with us. Even at tahajjud time, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam woke up and opened the door quietly so that Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha would not be disturbed. My dear listeners, our condition today is such that we do not even think of haram as haram. For example, regarding interest, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. Those who deal in interest will be raised on the day of Qiyamah like a drunk person, a person intoxicated with drugs. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Nahri minad-dam, who deals in interest will be prisoned in a river of blood. Every time he tries to come out of it, a stone will be thrown in his mouth, by which he will return to his original place. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. So many of us are dealing in interest and we do not even think of it as haram. So many people say, so what? Everyone does it. So what? It's only 1 pence. My dear respected brothers, my dear respected listeners, whether it be 1 pence, whether it be thousands, the ruling is the same. In the same way, al-khadi'atu fin nar, those who deceive, lie or betray will be thrown in hell. Al-washima wal-mawshuma, profession of tattooing or having a tattoo is not allowed. La'an al-musawwir, those who take pictures of living things are cursed. La yadkhuluhu al-malaikah, angels of mercy do not enter the house which has pictures. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tore the curtain which was hanging in his house because it had pictures. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from all haram things, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us realize and make us understand and make us think of haram as haram. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.